Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine the other day. He's smart, educated, and successful. He follows energy quite a bit, happens to be an advocate of nuclear, and we often talk about Tesla. In a recent conversation, he kept talking about the competition. I'm going to actually quote what he was saying. Cars aren't exciting or new. There are mega companies producing 10 million cars a year each, all with loads of experience and huge manufacturing ability, all starting to produce either hybrids or EVs and backed by massive existing cash flows with the ability to repurpose factories at a huge scale, and none of them are stupid. I explained all of why that is not an issue for Tesla, and had rebuttals to everything else he threw at me. He even tried to tell me how small a share Tesla had in EVs, until I had to explain to him the figures he was using also included plug-in hybrids. Yeah, people love semantics. Technically, they plug in and can be battery powered, but unless it's a BEV, battery electric vehicle, then it should not be included with Tesla statistics. Eventually, all he had to say was, honestly, the biggest issue I have with Tesla is their cars are generally a bit ugly to my tastes. They look like 1990s Japanese cars. Okay, first off, personally, I actually like Tesla's designs. I think they look great. The front of the Model 3 and Y resembles closely to a McLaren F1. Not overly surprising there, as that was pretty much Elon's first real car he ever bought for himself after he sold Zip2, a McLaren F1. What was back then the fastest and quickest car in the world. Again, this just goes to show Elon's love and passion for cars. His experience with cars extends through to Tesla. How many other auto CEOs owned a McLaren F1 in their 20s? And the rear of the Model 3 has similar contours to the elegant Aston Martin, a car known for its classic designs. Therefore, as someone who does appreciate car design, I think Tesla have done an outstanding job. And this was done with so many compromises that had to be made due to drag coefficiency and mass production on a scale we may have never seen before. On the other hand, unlike almost every other car prior, there was no engine or drive shaft to have to design around. It was almost a blank canvas. But even despite the new Model S facelift, some people still say that Teslas are starting to look dated. Well, the thing is, Tesla have made these cars timeless. They're going to be the same shape for possibly decades to come, similar to what Henry Ford did with the Model T. However, Ford not updating the shape of his cars was actually the downfall, and what ended up costing them a large majority of their market share, as the competition came in with nicer looking designs. Henry Ford was stubborn to maintain the original Model T. He wanted to keep the price down through economies of scale, but cars were already affordable by that stage, and people were willing to even spend a bit more for something that looks more modern. But that was a long time ago, when we didn't really have a basic concept of how a car should even look, compared to today. The actual concept of the design hasn't changed much over the last couple of decades in reality. The design changes were just whatever was in fashion more so, along with nicer looking paint jobs and cooler looking lights. Now, as Tesla has adopted this timeless design, then some people may think it's boring, but it means it will likely be equally boring in 10 years' time. In other words, it still won't look that dated. It has a minimalist look and feel in order to maintain the timeless appeal. With minimalism, there is less that can date in the first place. The same is true for the interior of a Tesla. They have a minimalist look and feel inside. In fact, it's just a steering wheel and a computer. We don't even have to see any ugly air vents. The less there is in the car, the less there is to look dated. I compare this to the fashion designer Coco Chanel, who designed clothes that never go out of fashion. They're timeless designs. Even wearing a vintage collection is acceptable in the world of fashion. Now compare this to Toyota's new electric BZ4X. Can you imagine how dated that would look in just 5 years' time? And it's too late anyway. The market expects all these manufacturers to change their shapes every so often. Sales start to dwindle after a few years a new model is launched, as customers are happy to wait another year or so to get the anticipated new shape. Therefore, these auto manufacturers are stuck in this cycle of continually having to make updates to their ICE vehicles. The result is a huge cost in updating lines and missing out on more economies of scale. I mean, you would have thought it would be hard enough for the legacy autos already, but no, just one more reason it is going to be that much harder to ever catch up with Tesla. By the time a legacy manufacturer finally manages to get a decent range in one of their EVs, then it's too late, the shape is too old, and they need to rebuild the production line. So why have Tesla chosen this minimalist basic design? It simply means Tesla do not need to update their production lines with new models every 5 to 10 years. Instead, Tesla can continually refine the same production line, invest in more resources that will further improve the production speed and cost, resources that may not have been feasible for other OEMs, as they're not doing the units Tesla will reach. Tesla has extreme economies of scale already. This just means they can keep adding to their economies of scale for the same products, rather than having to start all over again. Look how long the S and X lines have been down, for what appears to have been just a facelift. Can you imagine how long the production lines would need to be down if they were updating to a completely new design? There'd be a lot of production downtime, with resources not being utilised. This would add significantly to opportunity costs, having robots and equipment sitting there not being used for a year or so. Tesla had to keep the shape fairly basic as to look like it won't date too badly. I mean, some people are saying the Model S does look a bit dated, but the majority seem to like the new Model S a lot more after its facelift, and demand for the car has gone through the roof as a result. But the car is still the same shape, which just goes to show how good a job Tesla did with the Model S. The Model Y is probably the best looking of them all, and will likely age the best. An EV is an expensive item. Tesla have just done such a good job, they've managed to make the cost of an expensive consumer item affordable. It is through processes like maintaining the same shape car to cut costs and take advantages of economies of scale that can be attributed to just how low Tesla are able to get the costs of their products. Just think how efficient Tesla can keep improving these production lines of the same models over so many years. It's highly likely the same shape Model S and X will still be around in a further 10 years, perhaps with an even more enhanced interior design around FSD. Tesla can therefore invest into massive economies of scale for any of their models, unfathomable from any other car manufacturer, as they don't expect to get close to Tesla's sort of production numbers. Of course, rather than just saving cost, it also increases manufacturing speed if you're continually enhancing the same production line, along with the shape of these cars too. Of course, rather than just saving cost, it also increases manufacturing speed if you're continually enhancing the same production line. Along with the shape of these cars too, the simplistic design has also been taken into consideration when it comes to manufacturing complexity. The more simple designs means the cars can be manufactured faster too. Tesla have a lot of cars to make, and they don't have manufacturers to achieve it. Tesla will spend a lot of time, effort, resources, and expense on improving the speed of all these production lines. If Tesla are able to increase their production speed by 20%, then that's the equivalent of building a new gigafactory. Of course, the production speed that is most important is the battery production. But actually, this might also mean that Tesla are all in on the 4680 battery form too, and don't plan on changing. Who knows, maybe Tesla could eventually make batteries solid state, but still in the same 4680 form factor. This would mean Tesla can continually keep refining and improving the same battery line to further improve the battery density, price, and production speed. Anyway, I thought I would just try and explain why Tesla doesn't follow fashion fads or trends with their car styling, and stick to their own unique minimalist style for aerodynamics and cost, which makes sense, as EVs are all about getting more range for the money. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.